Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Glimpse of Bollywood Content webinar organized by Dubai International Content Market. My name is Jitendra Singh Bansal, and I am Content Acquisition Head at Film. I'm delighted to introduce webinars with participation from Bollywood industry. Today's speakers are Nitin Michael, founder and managing director, Surprise, and Dr. ShamolyKera, director of Global Content Distribution Hub. Each participation will give a short presentation and will then move on to question and answer session. So begin with, I'd like to start with my presentation. Filmy. I hope everyone is able to see my presentation. So, quick introduction about Filmy. Filmy is entertainment smart ticket, which is available in all the GCC region. Filmy brings its patent premium content on demand services directly to the consumer as a retail product. The premium content is made available to consumers through our extensively hybrid retail distribution model. Filmy has entered into a long-term partnership with West Asia's biggest hypermarkets, retailers, Lulu. Lulu serving 1.6 million customers a week to sell content through physical cards and their API integration and the QR codes. Our other retail partners, which we are selling, the hybrid QR code is Enoch, One Prepay, Zoom, Entry Premium, and convenience stores. Filmy also association with Media Times, Khalistan. With Khalistan, they are catering to 9.5 million monthly unique customers, adds our depth to e-commerce sales to our websites. So what we do is we come to a very different and innovative product in the market to the consumer. Consumer just need to scan the QR code, enter the phone number, they will receive an OTP. So as soon as they enter the OTP, movie starts playing on their mobile browser. So it's a la carte way. Consumer can go to any Lulu stores, select the physical prepaid cards, and take the prepaid cards to home, scan the QR code, enter the phone number, and they will receive an OTP and movie starts on the mobile browser. So there is no app download, there is no subscription required to the consumer. It's a la carte way. Either they can walk into any Lulu stores, or they can just log into www.ktfilmy.com and select any film. Just pay 5 dirhams, and they will receive the QR code of the selected films in different languages. We are serving the content to them in Hindi, Tamil, Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada. For this content, our Bollywood content partners are Viacom 18, RSPP, Z Studios, Foxstars, Hulu, Zoom. So these are Bollywood content partners where we are keep giving our consumers in UAE market with latest content, serving web series and Hindi films, which is available to first day, first show kind of thing. What we are saying our consumer is in entire UAE market is just visit to any Lulu stores, select any film, like this kind of tabletops are available in all the Lulu stores. Select any film or web series of your choice and enjoy filming. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I'm delighted to introduce webinars with participation from Bollywood industry. Today's speakers are Mr. Nitin Michael, founder and managing director of Surprise. Nitin Michael is the founder and managing director of Surprise, where he develops films and television productions and handles strategic partnership for the company global distribution arm, named as MIP TV Producers to Watch March 2020. Nitin has been active in the global media industry from last 15 years, managing content licensing, channel distribution and production, working in India, Dubai and China. Nitin gained senior level senior level industry contacts and market intelligence with focus of MEA, Pakistan, Turkey, and APAC region. Prior to launching Synchronize, Nitin worked for Indian broadcast giant Zee Entertainment Enterprises Limited for 13 years, as well as India's biggest Times Group. At Zee Dubai office, Nitin rose to region sales head and vice president of MEE, Turkey and Pakistan, where he grew the syndication business in the region and made it one of the highest contributing market to the overall revenue pie. He also handled multiple co-productions deal in both the Middle East and the Africa region, working in major broadcasters such as MBC, Etisalat, Dubai TV, Geo TV, ARY, Multi-Channel, Multimedia Group, and various others. Nitin spent 2 years at Zeal Hong Kong office, also where he maximized channel revenue and revenue through distributions of Zee TV channels. At the Times Group, as a head of content sales, he established Zoom Entertainment Networks, presents a number of shows for specific Bollywood content to the global market. Thank you so much, Nitin. You can now start with your presentation.
Thank you so much, Jitendra, for that introduction, and very good afternoon to everyone. I'm going to quickly share my presentation, and then better I start talking there. Right. So Synchronize, that's the name of the company that I run. Essentially, we're a fairly new entity. We started in 2020, and we are essentially a media production and distribution, agency that is based in Dubai. We partner, like Jitendra said, we partner with a lot of digital platforms, broadcasters, to produce obviously content as well as to monetize their content across various markets. Our team, of course, consists primarily of Synchronize was founded by my partner Hasna and me. We're both Zee alumni, so to say. We've worked in the region in the past, and we've handled clients across the region as well. And we've also got Raju, who is ex-Disney, who used to be the head of Disney in the past for Asia Pacific, who's also part of our core team. That's, of course, we have salespeople and others as well. But that's the three of us were there right from the start when we founded it. So essentially, what do we do at Synchronize? The name pretty much says it all. We syndicate, which is the SYN. Then there's we produce, which is the PRO, and then the monetize, which has the remaining letters of our name. Syndication essentially is, of course, licensing content. Jitendra mentioned somewhere during his introduction that we specialize in markets, primarily content, especially from India, Pakistan, Middle East, Turkey, Philippines, Korea, China, and Africa. That's where we essentially both buy and sell content. We curate libraries, we pick content from these markets. We have our network of clients that we serve in these markets. And that's primarily what we do. The second part of our business is essentially production. When we say we produce, we are actually not the actual producers of content. We essentially work on cash flow financing models, co-production models, wherein we come in more from a financial aspect, and rather than from a actual creative point of view. We're there to assist producers essentially from India, Pakistan, Middle East, Turkey, and Africa in their production efforts in terms of adding value, both monetarily as well as from a pure monetization standpoint as well. And finally, of course, monetization or monetize. What we do, like I said, is there are, of course, producers who need financial aid, and that's where we come in from a financial support perspective or as producers. But when it comes to pure monetization efforts, we also have certain production houses that we represent primarily in India and Pakistan, some projects in the Middle East as well, where we represent content, these production houses and their upcoming productions. So anything that's we are representing certain concepts, certain shows that are in the pipeline exclusively. We pitch them to platforms. We make sure they are monetized, and that's what we do. I mean, we help. This is more for content that hasn't been created till now. Whereas syndication, of course, is for finished content programming. So that's broadly what we do. I'm going to focus primarily. The other two arms are fairly self-explanatory, but when it comes to syndicating content in the international market, it works slightly different vis-a-vis syndicating content in your home market. Of course, one of the things that we also do is we dub and subtitle content locally. So for example, we dub content, let's say for example, we dub Indian content in certain African dialects and we license them in Africa. This is of course post acquiring them. We also say dub content in French or in, or like I said, say for example, we've dubbed some Filipino content or Arabic content into English, into local African vernacular dialects, because that's a market that is rapidly growing. There is increasing demand for content that is repurposed and that is hyper local vis-a-vis content that is in the original language or with simply English subtitles. So that's something that we're trying to cater to. That need is something, that's the gap that we're trying to fill. We also, of course, repackage content. I mean, a lot of content is which has done well, which is underexposed in their markets, like Arabic content, for example. It's there are a lot of sort of preconceived notions about the content, where we're there to sort of break those stereotypes and sort of repackage them, re-promote them with, say, international English titles, with English in AVs and things like that. So every year we sort of curate a library of content that we represent through the year. We're still in the process of that. It's still early days for us as far as 2022 is concerned. So we're still in the process. That said, we've already done a few deals to start the year off, and that was based on this exact same model where we sort of dubbed and sort of repackaged content for those markets. These are a few of the shows that we've sort of recently been we've sort of represented or we've licensed. For example, like I said, Indian content dubbed into African languages, Turkish content dubbed into Thai, for example, Turkish content also dubbed into Urdu, Pakistani content subtitled in English, Filipino content dubbed in a vernacular African dialect. So like I said, we ensure that within the markets that we specialize in, we ensure that there's a lot of movement of content. There's a fair bit of acquisition. We will, of course, be coming out very soon, hopefully, with our 2022 slate of content. These shows, of course, are also available as part of them, but there would be additional exclusive stuff as well that should be coming through in the following months. A few of our clients that we work with, both in terms of buying as well as licensing content, these are names that most of these names are already fairly well-known global names, and they don't really need an introduction. So that's as far as we are concerned. We are essentially, like I said, we are the guys in between content producers and content buyers, and we help them. We help basically. We will help anyone who has content or who has an idea to make money off it. That's broadly what we do in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin. That's a lovely presentation, very informative presentation, especially the content which you are syndicating throughout the world, and making content, distribution content, and dubbing the content and making available in different parts of the world. It's fantastic to see. Now, thank you again, Nitin, for the lovely presentation. Thank you very much. Now we move on to our next speaker, Dr. ShamolyKera. Dr. ShamolyKera is a well-known personality in the Indian media industry. She is a TV presenter, executive president's coach, TEDx speaker, and director of global content distribution hub, One Tech Media. She is also the author and the bestseller be there as the signs of confidence. Welcome, Shamoli, and you can start with the presentation.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm Dr. Kera, as I was just introduced, and I'm very happy to be here and be a part of this stimulating conversation. I'm going to quickly try and share the presentation that I have here, and okay. So I hope you can see this. One Take Media is mainly a value-added service company. So we're a global distribution content agency where we mainly provide content to people, and mostly in the SARC territory. What we're really going to is into VAS and SVOD, into value-added services. And I would like to share some of the partners that we are working with, like Tata Sky, Videocon D2H, Dish, and Airtel, and also a couple of cable networks. Some of the main partners that we do want to highlight is that a lot of people want to see content which is also localized to the region that they are in. For example, one of a big chunk that we do is Hollywood movies dubbed into local languages like Hindi, Bengali, Punjabi, because people do like to finally listen to even international content in their language. So Hollywood movies is something that we do get a lot, and that is something we have seen. Once you dub, the amount of reception for it is really, really amazing. One of the other things that we do is kids content. So we started off with originally creating our own IP of nursery rhymes, and slowly realized the amount of time that it takes, and we started expanding our library more with syndication of content and acquiring them. And for example, we have the original Jungle Book that was also actually played in lockdown last year on Doordarshan. And that is something that rightly sits in our catalog for the SARC territory. So we have a lot of kids content that we also localize, dub in the localized languages like Hindi, even Marathi, Bengali, and Punjabi, and provide that to the audiences. Something that has been highlighted with the growth of OTT over the last few years, especially the lockdown, has kind of accelerated the pace of reception of the content. What would have probably happened in the next 5 years has actually happened in the past 2 years, and the growth is continuing to happen. So people are actually amazingly receptive of dubbed kids content as well, and that's a huge market that we see there. We are running a value-added service channels with players like Airtel, Videocon D2H, and you can see it's so digitized, so you actually get to know the idea of the subscribe account, what's working, what's not working. Another area that One Take Media is really, really known for is Korean content. So we syndicate a lot of Korean content. I can say that a majority of the Korean dramas that are being played on a couple of popular platforms here in India have been procured and distributed by us. People love watching this in Hindi language with Korean subtitles, and that is something that has skyrocketed, especially in the lockdown. The entire Hallyu wave is basically the craze for Korean dramas and the craze for ancient Korean. So K-dramas have gone off the roof. Initially, it was only a niche audience that was looking at it, but now I can safely say that a lot of people are intrigued about what is the big deal about Korean dramas, and the fact that they are so close to Indian culture, the fact that their storylines have very family-oriented feel, they're very value-based, and people are loving the fact that these are limited series, which don't go on for years and months, that don't get over. So people can actually watch it for a couple of episodes, 12, 26, 30, and then switch to a new Korean drama and indulge in a new story. So that is something that has done fantastic. We work with MX Player to get them their Korean dramas. We've also launched a new channel with Tata Sky called Tata Sky Videshi Kahania, which is Korean plus international content, where we also provide them with Spanish series, Turkish series, Russian series, besides Korean series being a major part of it. Another genre that I could say we are getting into is, so I've spoken about kids, Hollywood, Korean. Another genre that I would want to put out there is cooking. So people obviously love cooking and learning quick recipes. So we started with the show called The Great Indian Global Kitchen, which where One Take Media owns the IP, where we worked with some amazing chefs like Chef Harpal Singh, Chef Aditya Bal. We had 6 of them. We shot about 300 episodes of those, and they have been streamed on Discovery, TLC, India. In fact, even on MBC Bollywood Middle East with Arabic subtitles, which was there for, I think, 2 years back, and which played for 2 seasons every Ramadan. Chefy channel is something that we are also running with players like Airtel and D2H channels, because that is something that has really picked up pace a lot. There are a lot of cooking channels in general on YouTube, but people still like the idea of being able to serve content on TV and coming back to it when they want. So that is something that has done fantastically well as well. And well, that is One Take Media, majorly global distribution and syndication hub. And thank you so much for having me today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at the end of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamali. Thank you for the presentation and lovely information you shared about One Take Media. And it's great to see now people are watching international content in India market, simultaneously you're syndicating content in different genres. It's good to see. Thank you very much again, Shamali, for the presentation and information about One Take Media. Thank you. So let's move on to our question and sessions now. So I'm going to ask all the participants to put their videos on, and we are going to kick off with some questions and answer. So as soon as I start getting my questions, I'll ask each speaker to please open your camera and mic to answer the question. So my first question goes to Mr. Nitin. What is the most successful Bollywood story you produce, co-produce, or distributed in Middle East region?
Okay, so in the Middle East region, we've actually licensed a lot of India cast, as in Viacom content. So there's a fair bit of content that we've licensed from them. And it's primarily movies, though. It's not really dramas. We actually take more of Middle East content outside into other markets rather than license content into the Middle East itself. Middle East, most of the broadcasters have very long-standing and very strong relationships directly with broadcasters, so we don't get into that space. In terms of producing content or financing content, we financed a South Indian film called Capella, which was on Netflix last year. It was in fact one of the top 10 most viewed South Indian viewed content in that year on Netflix. We've also co-financed or rather actually completely financed over 1,000 hours of Pakistani dramas, which have then been on View, which is the platform, the South Asian platform, which is also available in the Middle East. So that content essentially gets dubbed into or rather subtitled into Arabic, and in certain cases dubbed into Arabic as well and shown on their platform. So those are the shows. I mean, majority of them are produced by a company called Seven Sky Productions, which is the producer for Jio, which is Jio is the leading Pakistani network that exists. So primarily Pakistani content is what we sell in the Middle East, not so much Indian. Jio, yeah, Jio.
Your TV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Got it. Understood. Thank you. My next question to both of you, Shamli and Nitin. The question is now, TV series is now part of Bollywood content, you can say?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Shamoli, do you want to take that or do you want to answer?
Nitin, go ahead.
Okay, so I think Bollywood has become synonymous with anything Indian. So I think gone are the days where Bollywood is only movies. So TV series also can be, like I mentioned somewhere in the presentation, when you're repackaging or you're rebranding or re-promoting content. As far as we are concerned, anything from India gets sort of comes under the banner of Bollywood. So yes, definitely series fall under Bollywood.
Okay. My next question. Sorry.
I'd like
Continue, Shamli. Sorry.
There was a meme I read last week, I think, where Netflix is talking to a viewer and Netflix says, would you watch a movie for 10 hours, which is as long as 10 hours? And the viewer is like, are you crazy? I'm not going to do that. And Netflix says, oh, what if I divide it into 45 minutes, let you watch it for the weeks? And he's like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let me do that. So this is exactly what Bollywood has come to. And people of what the actors, directors, and story writers love is the fact that they are not under time pressure of editing or bringing nuances that they couldn't explore earlier. So now they can go and do a restaurant scene for more than 10 minutes. They can actually have detailed dialogues. They can work on so many, hidden hints that they wouldn't have done in a 2.5 hour movie otherwise. So I certainly feel, including actors, including story writers, they are lapping up the idea of having a prolonged series, because now it's kind of liberation for every creative artist. So I don't know if it's going to replace, but it's certainly going to walk forward parallelly.
And then also content is available in local language also. It's easy for the consumers to consume the content. Might be 5 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. I think that's also the OTT guys are doing. It's fantastic thing so that people will get more engaged on different worldwide content on their platforms. Again, my next question to both of you. In Ramadan, content being on the rise, what kind of Ramadan content from Bollywood in the demand in the MENA region? Anyone can start.
Shamoli, do you want to do that? Since you've done a chef show already on NBC.
Sorry, can you repeat that? Do you mean what kind of dramas are doing well?
See, the question is this: what kind of content works in Ramadan region, especially Bollywood content, which is demanded in MENA region in Ramadan during Ramadan time.
In Ramadan season.
Yeah. Yes.
So like I earlier mentioned, any kind of the cooking, for example, it was doing absolutely well, and we got connected also because they wanted to, let's say, replay the same season or add new episodes. So we got an idea this is doing well for them, because that is something. Food is a big part of their conversation in general, but also Turkish series I feel are doing amazingly well, and that is something that also we've seen the way they make it. Turkish, also Korean for that matter, talk a lot about food as well in their series. They talk about it like how you and I would normally have a conversation around a meal. A lot of their scenes are around that, plus the fact that it is so relatable to even Middle Eastern culture, or have that kind of emotional connect. So I think Turkish dramas do really well around that time.
So, sorry. So just to add to Shamoli, and I think the genre that she mentioned, I mean the food genre or the lifestyle genre, that the interesting part is even Ramadan or outside Ramadan, lifestyle content works well, and because there is already an inherent curiosity about cultures and food and so on. So that's one. But in terms of dramas, what I feel is Ramadan is a very locally Arabic centric space. So majority of the time, except on pay TV, like Shamoli mentioned very rightly, that Turkish content on pay TV, there's definitely a window for content during Ramadan, which is Turkish. Bollywood, for example, unless it's the likes of Z Alwan or something like that, which is or Before You, Aflam or whatever, which are Indian channels, Arabic channels. They have, of course, specials that they run. I mean, they're dramas that they dub for Ramadan specifically. But the other channels, the local channels, they traditionally operate only with their local content. There's a lot of money going into local Arabic productions during Ramadan. So I think the Ramadan space is primarily for local Arabic content as far as the dramas are concerned, on free to air, of course. On pay, it's a different story. On pay, of course, like Shamoli rightly mentioned, Turkish content pretty much is the leader. Bollywood content actually doesn't feature there because, except for Z and let's say, like I said, Before You, doesn't really feature during Ramadan.
Got it. Thank you. Again, my next question to both of you. Are VOD platforms are the new trends in extend the view of Bollywood content? What is happening with the old production companies?
I didn't hear the last part of the question. What is?
See, the question divides into two parts. See, what the new VOD platforms are offering the content to the consumers. Is it a new way of consuming the content, or people will go and still watch the content on satellite channels?
All right. Should I take that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think I was listening to a panel a few months ago, I think, and it's interesting. They had this exact same conversation there, and the point is, see, here's the thing: linear is not really going to go anywhere for a while, because what happens with platforms is they are actually streaming linear channels themselves. So they are becoming like a hub for streaming linear channels. So if you look at any of the linear, except of course the really pure linear platforms, let's say like Netflix or to that extent Amazon, in the region, okay, let's say if you go with Stars Play, which is one of the region's leading OTT platforms, they have channels, they have a third-party content providers putting up their content, and they act like a carousel for linear content. So that's one. Secondly, of course, the viewership on OTT services and streaming services are going up. There's no doubt about it. COVID has only accelerated that process. So there is definitely going to be growth in the VOD space. But that growth would also be inclusive of the growing reach for linear. It's not that linear is going to disappear all of a sudden. There is going to be space for both. Of course, original content will always have a place, which is why OTT platforms are probably going to have to evolve into a blend of having good original content as well as if you're paying $10 or $9 for a Stars Play or any of these other subscriptions, and you rather than paying $9 to a Do or a Tisla just for linear channels, you'd want to have a mixture of both at the same place. So I think that's pretty much what my take on that is.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I think VOD, the growth of VOD highlights a very typical consumer behavior that now they like to consume content at their time and at their pace, and they do not want to wait. The ritual like 10, 20 years back that, Sunday, let the whole family get together at 10 a.m. or 9 p.m. and watch the series together doesn't really work so well with everyone, wanting their own individual spaces, individual calendars, and watching my content at my time. And so I think VOD will continue. I see also with the access with phones, with data being so cheap, people being able to watch shows on their phones anytime, anywhere, on a travel or on a trip. The other day I took a flight, and Gehrai, I remember, released just the day prior, and people had downloaded it and they were watching on their laptops in the flight. Like, so there's no more. And I was like, why are you doing this? Why are you watching this on a flight? In my head, because for us, some of us, it's still like, let's make it an experience, watch it, in a room with TV or if not theaters. But people are okay to compromise their experience as long as they are getting their content, at their fingertips at that time. So I feel VOD will continue. Yes, it's tough competition to TV, but there will always. I have majority of the people who also are consuming so much of OTT, let's say 99% of the time, still do not cut the cable or the dish connection, because it's just this thing of ghar pe TV hai, and I still like have the the choice of taking the remote and doing it, even if they do it once or twice a month, maybe while for a sports festival or sport event, but that's that. So I feel both are great, but VOD's already changed and it's going to continue to grow.
Right. So my last question to both of you, it's Pakistan content is on demand? Pakistani content is on demand?
Nitin, you can take.
So I can afford to be politically correct as well. So yeah, I mean, demand, it's good content. Okay, let's see, any content that is good content is always in demand. It doesn't have to be called Pakistani content. I think any content that is good content is always in demand. Having said that, in fact, we recently sold some Pakistani content into India, and there is an increasing demand from India as far as Pakistani content is concerned. I'm sure everybody is aware of historically the fact that, you know, when Doordarshan started, it used to air Pakistani content right at the beginning. So there is always a demand for crisp, fast storytelling, or that style of storytelling that Pakistani dramas come with. So yes, there is. I mean, like I said, if it's good content, it will sell. Whether it's called Pakistani, whether it's called Arabic, it will sell. It's just about. I think yes, like I said, we've done some deals ourselves into India. We represent a lot of Pakistani content, so yes, there is demand for it. It just needs to be packaged right, and like I said, if it's a good story, it will sell.
Got it. So we have one more question. Sorry, I was not while trying. One second. The question is, viewer is asking, foreign slots where Bollywood content fail shots, and where could it come up and top companies to the content from the regions viewing. So basically, he's asking ki, you'll see Bollywood content failing short in international market, or it's been same as per international standards.
So, I mean, I think there's definitely a marked improvement as far as Bollywood content is concerned, and thanks to OTT and there's a lot of creative freedom, like Shamoly was mentioning earlier, that creators have, and they're coming up with some really excellent content. How much of it travels internationally is still debatable, because, you know, not a lot of content that gets produced for OTT in India gets to travel as much as it should be traveling. It's still the traditional linear content that is traveling internationally. That, of course, does fall short sometimes. But I think once, sorry.
Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So no, I'm saying, so your platform, for example, shows stuff from MX and stuff like that. So I mean, it's only a matter of time that, you know, this content becomes more widely available. And I think if there is any shortcoming at all, then that should bridge the gap, because the traditional linear content, there is definitely a space. We do tons of traditional linear content from India that gets sold out in multiple markets. But if for the more discerning, for the more quality conscious, so to say, viewer, there is some fantastic OTT content that is in India, and it's only a matter of time before it starts getting sort of pushed into other markets on other platforms.
So, you know, what we are doing in UAE market is we are taking content. Basically, we are the aggregators, and we are taking content from the leading OTT and the leading Bollywood production houses. And what we are saying to our customers in UAE market, so there's no app download, there's no subscription. It's a la carte way. Consumer just visit to a site, select any content as per their freedom, as per their choice, whenever they want to see any content. And especially, we are focusing on Indian regional language like Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, and it's working very fantastic in that part of the world for us. So yeah, we keep looking new partners for content providers to give the content to us, and we can showcase in that part of the world. My last question to you guys, you know, is like in US, if you see there's a trend of earlier SWOT is going on very high mode. Now AWOD is running very successfully in that part of the world. Now you see the same thing is going on in MENA, is it? Is SWOT is still running in that part of the world, or AWOD or TWOD is the new way to go?
Shamoly, you want to take that?
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I do feel that all three are different kinds of services that are providing different content. So, for example, if I had to give a T-Word example, like an Apple TV is a classic T-Word where I pay per view or pay per movie, and there are times when the content is exclusive, and I'll be like, why not? Let me do that. And this is classic consumer behavior. There's also S1 where they are like, oh, monthly subscription, may I will get so much content. So everything is, like we rightly earlier said, is also now content driven. The consumers don't care. They don't have any loyalties to platform. Let's say years back, there was a certain way of, attaching emotions to a channel like a Sony or a Z or a Star, and we continue to follow what that channel had to provide, and it kind of had this, sentiment that we kind of connected with. Now it's about where is the content going. I am coming there. So if a Sony will come up with a scam or someone else, people subscribe even if it's for one show for a minimum 3 months. They will do it because they want to watch that show that everyone has been talking about. For example, if there is a sacred games, that's one, and people are okay now to because they compare it to a movie ticket. They would anyway spend that much to go and watch a movie screening with the family. They're like, here I am getting an entire year subscription or a 3-month subscription. It's absolutely worth it. So now it's about where content is, and I think all three will equally continue to work. In fact, I feel people may not have so much patience for AVOD. Even YouTube, for that matter, has now introduced YouTube Premium, where we don't have to watch the ads, and that was the classic world AVOD space. So and people are buying premium because very few now have the agency or the patience to actually for ads and skip to content. So yes, that's what I think.
So Shamli, there is one question comes for you regarding Korean content. Is more to the family oriented content is doing well in MEA region? Korean content is doing good for MEA region, especially family audience.
Yeah, I say there is like a good balance between, let's say, both family kind of Korean dramas and also romantic kind of Korean dramas, because they still have a very nascent way of showing even love or romance. It's very much how you don't need to kind of censor scenes. You don't need to, because it's very soft the way they show all of that. So, which is very acceptable in the MEA market. For example, a Bollywood movie may go through some cuts and edits and all of that, but a Korean drama overall is very acceptable. Even their romantic series is something that a family can sit and watch without cringing or wanting to like skip the parts. So I feel there's a fine balance between the two, and even the romantic dramas tend to have a lot of family values, very much like an Indian or a Middle East culture, where even if the boy and girl, let's say, fall in love, it is a lot about what happens later with the parents and if the entire family accepts them or no. So I think because they somewhere connect with those culture levels, I feel both are equally there.
So Nitin, one question for you is what do you see the future of Bollywood content in MEA region?
What do I see the future of Bollywood content
Bollywood
in
content, MEA region, MENA region.
You said Hollywood or Bollywood? Sorry, Bollywood. Yeah, sorry, Bollywood. So here's what I think: Bollywood content is already very well entrenched. More because of our very deep-rooted historical cultural ties. Hollywood content already has a great market in the Middle East. All right, there is a high level of acceptability as far as the existing Bollywood content is concerned. Where I really see a growth happening is, like you said, where providers like such as yourself are bringing some premium content into the region from OTT players in India. A lot of OTT players have some fantastic content that they're coming. So either if they are, of course, open to sharing that content to be repurposed, a lot of them, for example, like a Z, for example, they already have their presence in the region. So it's unlikely that they'd rather dub it themselves and have it on their platforms. But for the others, like you said, MX, or you've got Ulu on your platform, I believe. But some other platforms that are existing and that have content, if they are good content, I feel that that's an area for growth in the region. Also, I feel that there will be a space as far as original content is concerned. co-productions of sorts, which sort of showcase, because there are a lot of stories to tell about Indians in the region, or and dramas in the region. We've done that in the past during our time at Z as well, and I know that there is scope for that, more of that happening going forward.
Same question related to comes to Shamli also. The viewer wants to ask, what is the future you see of Bollywood content in that part of the world, MENA region?
What Nitin has said, and I feel localization is really the way forward. Even for Bollywood content, people would want to see now any content in their language, because it is very easy also to do so. And a lot of people, I mean, we are doing that, for example, with Hollywood movies. But I do believe that Bollywood, for example, when it plays in ME, people like to watch it with Arabic subtitles, Arabic dubbing, and a lot of channels actually have their format as like that, where they stream movies dubbed in that way. So I feel the acceptance is great. Also, the kind of filmmaking has changed, where it's not only about the typical formula that gets replicated, that everyone can predict. Earlier, any kind of a different Indian cinema was characterized as, oh, this is for a film festival, oh, this is for Anurag Kashyap, or this is parallel cinema. Now, there is nothing called parallel cinema. I think they all have come under one, where everyone is accepting all kind of different content. In fact, the more edgy and different, the better. So I feel the acceptance will be fantastic.
A couple of more questions are coming in, sorry, but now people are asking, what is the best selling genres in Middle East region? Anyone can answer.
Genres or okay, so genres.
They prefer genres like mythological, historical, epic, thrillers.
Okay. I think honestly, family dramas, romantic series are working very well. When it comes to Bollywood, historicals, Bollywood or otherwise, historicals also do very well. Romantic series, like I said, there is increasing interest in anime, the it is Japanese or Korean anime content. There is a definite increase in demand. A lot of streamers, a lot of platforms, channels acquiring anime content as far as that space is concerned. Lifestyle content is always interesting. So those are the genres that and sports, of course, live sport events. A lot of OTT platforms are showing, be it the local leagues, be it some what are those UFC kind of fight things, rugby, IPL, of course. But besides that, live sports events also are a big thing, a big draw as far as the region is concerned.
Shamli, same question related to this. Any kind of Turkish people want to see in MENA? Any specific genre in Turkish language people want to prefer in MENA region for Turkish language?
I think there is lesser acceptance for kind of super crime thriller action, all of that. So that is really on the side. Yes, there is in Turkish more of, like you earlier mentioned, drama, family drama, and mainly that's really the timeline that goes at. It can very much be compared to the series we used in India that used to run long, but now the fact that it's a different way of adapting and looking at it really makes it exciting. It's very similar to Arabic culture as well. So I think that specific genre does well in Turkish.
There's just to add to that, sorry, when Shamoli was mentioning this, so there's one more thing that's happening, and it's quite an interesting trend in the region. It's remakes. There are remakes happening of Korean content. There are remakes happening of Turkish content, and especially Turkish content being produced. I mean, Arabic content being produced, rather Turkish remakes of Arabic produced in Turkey, but with Arabic actors and actresses.
I've seen shows. Yeah. So that's all for today. All the question answers are done. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you also to the audience for participation in today's session. And it's really great to interact, Shamli and Nitin, to you and understand more about the content which you guys are taking to international level, and content you're taking from international market to you're showing in Indian market, like Korean duck and all these things. It's really fantastic to interact with you. Hope we'll connect in India and do business together for
Sure.
overseas market. And,
Sure, definitely.
any last?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Okay. Now, also just like to highlight about the next webinar, which we have on 23rd and 24th November, which is organized by DICM. Please save the date for the next webinar, which is on MEE, animation content of the rights, which is happening on 16th March 2022. Thank you. Thank you again, everyone, for joining this session from mine and from the ICM. Thank you again. Thank you very much. Bye.